What is your comment about the terrorist attack in Christmas market in Berlin, which happens in 19th of December? And what is your comment about the reaction of German government, the police, investigators, and the media?
Well, first of all, I'm surprised about the surprise at our political elite about this terrorist attack, because something like this was expected quite for a long time. And since the so-called refugee crisis summer last year started, we have a lot of violent incidents. We have a lot of harassments. We have much more crime in Germany. Most of these, let us call it lesser radical incidents, that means ordinary knife attacks, burglaries, theft, and attacks against ordinary people, harassments against women, are not seen in the big media. So they take place somewhere in the regional or local media. They don't manage to get to the national news. But we live, since this crisis hit us in Germany, and not just in Germany, by the way, I think whole Europe is hit by that. We live under increasing pressure. So that a big thing would happen was quite clear. It was clear already when the terrorist group Islamic State announced to send with these migrants also terrorists. We know that in Germany, in refugee camps, there are open celebrations for terrorist groups as the Islamic State or Shabbat al-Nusra or other terrorist groups. There are open anti-German and open anti-Christian manifestations. So this all is taking place under the eyes of our government. So it was quite a matter of time that something will happen. That it happened in Berlin, that it happened against the Christmas market, makes the whole thing, of course, much more dramatic and much more tragic, because Christmas is also in Germany the time of where things are not so loud, where things more peaceful, where people try to spend as much time as possible with their families. So we can say that that attack is hitting really right into the heart of the German people. Our political leadership knew, of course, they knew very well that this danger is coming, but they were somehow trying to do the strategy of ignoring this danger. They were demonizing those journalists and those politicians who were warning non-stop that uncontrolled mass migration will bring automatically an uncontrolled risk of violence and uncontrolled risk, of course, of terrorism as well. So everybody who warned within the last months or even within the last years that something like this will happen was stigmatized and demonized as a fearmonger, as a radical, as an extremist, as a Nazi, a fascist, or whatever. So now it took place. The political reaction was quite interesting, because the whole evening of Monday, when all the foreign media, all the international media spoke about the terrorist attack, German politics and German mainstream media were speaking, well, and this is now really almost sarcastic, they were speaking about an incident, they were speaking about maybe an accident. German state TV, ZDF, was bringing on Twitter that a Polish truck driver was driving into masses of people in a Christmas market. We know today nothing is more wrong than this, that most probably the Polish truck driver was trying to stop the terrorist and that the terrorist killed him for this. So the Polish truck driver is most probably a hero who was martyred by the terrorist because he tried to stop all this act. The mainstream media is as embarrassing and as Lügenpresse, as we call it now in Germany since longer time as ever, as we are used to them. They were, of course, bringing wrong content. They were bringing biased content. They were trying to avoid to use the term terrorism. They were telling don't spread rumors. When it comes to the police and to our law enforcement, we can say that they are doing always, as usual, a pretty well job. And I think we have to see that our police forces, the policemen on the street, those who are working directly and who are not political functionaries, that these people are, beside the civilians who are killed or who are injured by those terrorist attacks, that also our police are the real victims of this politics, because we know in other countries the police is backed by the politics. The police is supported by the politics. That is not the case in Germany. The police is as under pressure as the ordinary people, because they cannot investigate, they cannot do their job as they want to do it and as they should do it. We have a big confidence in our police forces, who see exactly what is happening in Germany, not just because of the terrorist attack, but also on the daily scale, that they are totally outnumbered by criminals, that they don't have the means, they don't have the financial support, they don't have the logistic support by the political leadership to do their job to protect the population in Germany. By the way, the population in Germany are, of course, the German citizens, but also those foreigners who live with us, who work with us, and who suffer with us.
You know that after the attack, internet is full of collages of Merkel with blood all over her.
Yes.
What are the moods currently in Berlin, and for you, what should be done from now on?
I mean, this image of Merkel's bloody hands is, of course, a very populistic and a very polarizing image. But we have to say that if it turns out that the terrorist was an illegal migrant coming to Germany, maybe via the Balkan route or via the Mediterranean Sea, then the smoking gun is in the hand of Angela Merkel, because then we can say very clearly this person wouldn't be in Germany if Angela Merkel wouldn't have conducted her open border politics. By the way, an open border politics against the will of the majority of the people in Germany. And I don't have to tell this to the Bulgarian audience. Of course, the whole European community was also against it. What Angela Merkel was doing, she was conducting her own politics, her own open border politics, on the back not just of the Germans, but on the back of whole Europe. But it doesn't necessarily now to be reduced on the terrorist attack on Monday in Berlin. We can also say we have a lot of other crimes. We have rapes, we have other criminal violent acts against Germans and against foreigners who live with us in Germany. And we have always to say, if this crime was conducted by an illegal migrant who came to Germany via Angela Merkel's open border politics, despite of the warnings of experts, journalists and oppositional politicians, then there is indeed a direct responsibility going into our chancellery on the desk of Angela Merkel, in her mind, where the decision was done. What will be the result of this? This is hard to say. We have now today in Berlin a huge protest right in front of her chancellery. But we have elections next year in September. If there will be no elections before, if the pressure doesn't increase so much that they have to hold elections before, but we may not forget that Angela Merkel is quite safe in her position. Why? Because she has the support not just of her government, which is built by the CDU party, by the Christian Democrats and by the Social Democrats, but she has also the support of the Bundestag opposition, namely by the party of the Greens, which is also more or less a left-wing liberal party, and by huge parts of Die Linke, of the left. In the left, there are some circles who are totally against Angela Merkel. I think we find them around Sarah Wagenknecht, but we have there also people who would say we support her in her migration politics. So that means if we don't manage to bring up an opposition force which will have more than 50% of the votes. It is very likely that she will govern after September also as a chancellor. And even if she is replaced, let us say, by a government built by Social Democrats, Die Linke and the Greens, that there might change the chancellor, but the politics might not change. So we are now in Germany at, let us say, a very important point where this country will go to. And it is not just for Germany very important, it is important for whole Europe, because, as I said, Germany is putting its own migration politics on the backs of the other European countries, especially of the Eastern European countries, those countries which suffered most, who are positioned on the territory of the so-called Balkan route. These countries like Greece, but also Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, they have Hungary, not to forget. These are the countries who have to suffer because the decisions of someone in the German chancellery. And this is the most important point, is now to stop this and to do, not just to stop the illegal mass migration, but also to work for a reconciliation between Germany and those countries which suffered under Germany's politics.